Tonight we continue with the CD2 race.
The Dan Yorke State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
It just dawns on me that maybe you don't even know what I mean by CD2. You know, all of us, media types and candidates and political support people, CD2, you know. So it's the congressional race for the 2nd District to replace longtime incumbent Congressman Jim Langevin. You got it? All right, so there's code, CD2. The reported, alleged consensus leader in this race is our state treasurer, Seth Magaziner, and you're going to hear from him tonight. We are, I think, almost through all of the CD2 candidates, and we'll wrap up with that next week. I got nothing else for you. We have a lot to talk about with the treasurer and lead candidate for this new gig. So with no further ado, let's give you one indication as to why he may be. This endorsement came a couple of months ago now.
And just as you've trusted me these last 22 years, I'm asking you to trust me now that Seth Magaziner is the best candidate to continue what we started together all those years ago.
A big to-do, no doubt. That is something that each of the candidates was salivating for. Joy Fox, who worked for Langevin for a long time, probably had the other odds-on, second favorite opportunity there. But clearly the congressman is weighing in on what he thinks is the candidate he thinks will win. That's how the game is played a little bit. In terms of how the game is going, here's a little bit of the discussion from the guys on the WPRI latest poll.
Despite General Treasurer Seth Magaziner being in a dead heat with undecided in the latest 12 News Roger Williams University poll, political analyst and pollster Joe Fleming says with less than 4 weeks to primary day and his closest challenger nearly 30 points behind, Magaziner is in good shape to win the Democratic nomination.
Right now, Seth Magaziner is still sitting very pretty at this point.
But Magaziner hasn't moved the needle much from our last poll. He's gained just 4 percentage points since May. Same with Morgenthau. Siegel went up 3%, and the number of undecided voters dropped by 13%.
Older voters, 43% of them are still undecided on that race. That's your high number.
Fleming says Siegel does well with younger voters, getting 17% between the ages of 18 and 39. And he might be targeting that group.
I would assume he probably is trying to get them out the vote. Again, as we know, young people don't tend to vote, especially in primaries. It usually skews towards older voters.
With $1.7 million in his campaign war chest as of June 30th, Magaziner is far and away the best-funded Democratic candidate in the 2nd Congressional District.
Well, there's no doubt about that. Treasurer, welcome.
Hey, good to be back.
Great to have you in here.
Yeah.
What's your take a few weeks out?
Well, listen, I'm running because we need leaders in Washington who can cut through the nonsense, get things done, strengthen the economy, make health care more affordable, protect reproductive choice. And we do not take anything for granted. We're going to fight hard to earn every vote and get our message out to Rhode Islanders. And I'm confident that when Rhode Islanders hear what we're fighting for, we'll be successful.
What's the undecided number, large as it still remains, say to you?
Well, I think that people tend to tune in as the summer gets toward the end. So, in June and July, people are out, they're enjoying the beach, they're enjoying their summers, and then, they tend to tune in later. But we were very encouraged, obviously, by the poll. A 30-point lead in a 6-way race is a good place to be, and I think it's a sign that voters are responding to our message.
Yeah. You lose this, it would be like Buckner having the ball go through his legs, in a way, right? The primary, anyway.
That which should not be spoken of, yeah, that's right.
But I say that with all due respect to the other candidates, all of whom really bring, I think, a sense of good, of something. And I think that the race has reflected that. I mean, there's barely a jab that each of you have thrown at the other. I thought perhaps if there was a feeling that you are some kind of nemesis and somebody who shouldn't be elected, that the other 4 would get together and see if they could pile up those numbers and make a run at you. And those conversations seem to be non-existent with all of them. Tell me about the tenor and how you've enjoyed, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you got it. There's a sense of, I don't know, when you don't have a fighting race, there's a sense of camaraderie amongst candidates, correct?
Yeah, you know, I really always try to keep the focus on the voters, right? And listening to what is on people's minds, talking about ideas for how we'll move the ball forward for people in Rhode Island. And I appreciate the fact that, you know, for the most part, the others in the primary have done the same thing and have kept the focus on issues like protecting choice, lowering healthcare costs, prescription drug costs, protecting Social Security and Medicare. I think the other thing that, and I don't want to speak for any of them, but the other thing that I suspect all have in common is that we understand how high the stakes are in November, and that in this general election race, there's going to be a very clear distinction where if Alan Fung and the Republicans take control of Congress, then they will roll back the clock on a lot of things that are very important to Rhode Islanders.
Yeah,
and none of us on the Democratic side want to see that happen.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about that a little bit later on in the broadcast. I'm not sure you're correct about that. I think your points of view will be clear and distinct. I'm not so sure that there's going to be the clear distinction that you're suggesting. And I'll tell you about my theory when we come back. But anyway, let me roll this, Maddie, if we can. This is a little excerpt of coverage from a forum amongst the candidates last week.
5 congressional candidates hit with tough questions for 90 minutes on highly debated topics. In attendance, Omar Ba, Joy Fox, Seth Magaziner, Sarah Morgenthau, and David Siegel. The Democrats' general policy opinions aligned, as well as this.
I also know that we need to keep this seat blue.
We need to keep the seat blue.
We know what the agenda on the right is, and that is what is at stake in this election.
The forum's temple backdrop forced the candidates to strictly address the questions, not their opponents, but Magaziner found a loophole mentioning a missing competitor.
The reason that the Republican in the race is not here today, we learned yesterday, is because he's in Wyoming fundraising with Kevin McCarthy, the House Republican leader, who has said that he supports passing a national abortion ban.
I did reach out to Alan Fung for his response, but have not heard back.
And you're not going to. Thanks for that report. I said last week when I saw some of the Democratic Congressional Committee PR coming out, you know, blaming Alan Fung for not showing up, that was stupidity. There's no way that Alan Fung, even if he was sucking his thumb in Cranston and had nothing to do all day, would have shown up at the interfaith get together. And I'll tell you this, and you know.
But
this.
he should, though, right? I mean, we
no,
should be as
candidates.
candidates.
Stop, please.
No, I mean, if as a candidate you are in a position where you are afraid to get out in front of voters, you're not operating from a position of strength.
There's no way I'm going to do Alan Fung's bidding here. But let's not kid ourselves. Every organization in the world wants to think that they have the most important debate to put on. I mean, in a strange but understandable twist in politics, you suggested a few weeks ago that you'd like to do 20 debates with Alan Fung.
Absolutely.
And I know why, and I think it's a good tact. Notwithstanding that, or that aside, maybe what Alan Fung's latest dumb things do is to show up in Wyoming, try to kind of hide he's in Wyoming, then admit he's in Wyoming, you know, while their longtime legacy congresswoman is literally being tossed out by Trumpers and MAGA. I mean, I just don't know what he thinks sometimes. It's red meat for you, no doubt about it.
Well, listen, again, it just
go
comes
ahead
back.
And chew for a couple minutes.
Sure. No, it just comes back to what's at stake in this race, right? Like when I talk to voters in the 2nd Congressional District, they support the Affordable Care Act. Alan Fung and Kevin McCarthy have wanted to repeal it. When I talk to voters in the district, they support a woman having a right to choose and make her own health care decisions. Kevin McCarthy has said he supports a national abortion ban. Alan Fung refuses to say that he'll support codifying the protections of Roe into law. You know, name the issue. On issue after issue, Social Security, gun safety, where most Rhode Islanders are is not where Alan Fung and the far-right Republicans are. And so it's no surprise that his whole campaign strategy is to duck interviews, duck debates. When he does do interviews, try to evade questions, because he knows that on the issues that people care about, they agree with our agenda, not with his.
Well, I'm not sure all of that is actually correct. I mean, you are a well-trained, well-oiled machine at this point. the interview that I'm conducting with the treasurer will be replicated all over the place. As good as I think I am at this, I'm not going to get anything different from him. But here's the thing. The opportunity with Alan Fung is that he can't seem to just stand up and say it, whatever it happens to be. I don't necessarily agree that you've got the philosophical edge here all locked up. But if he continues to look like he's uncomfortable in handling what is this purplish district with a very far-right agenda on, on the Washington level, the indecision is going to be problematic for him. And it seems to me that's where your opportunity lies.
Yeah. Listen, voters deserve to know where we all stand on the issues. And voters know where I stand. I've been consistent throughout my time in government on what I believe in. And we're not seeing that from our Republican opponent.
All right, so when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about how this whole thing finishes up on the primary side. There are a couple of outstanding questions that people have with this candidate. We'll ask them next. Stay with us. All right, so here's, before we start predicting Alan Fung's demise, that's a reality right there. 45-39 in a poll a couple of months ago. I think that's fungible. 17% undecided, but I'm not gonna offer you your playbook. You tell me how serious you think that number is. It's a very, very serious number, isn't it?
Yeah, so as I said at the outset, I take every challenge seriously, and I don't take any vote for granted. So we are going to fight for every single vote, and unlike Alan, I will go anywhere in the state, talk to any group of voters to get our message out and to hear what's on people's minds. So we're not ducking anyone, unlike my Republican opponent. But I'm confident that we're going to win this race because, again, I know I sound like a broken record here, but when I hear from voters that the cost of medicine is too high, they're worried about Social Security, they're worried about being able to make their own health care decisions without politicians interfering. When I hear those issues, we are on their side, our campaign. And the Kevin McCarthy, Donald Trump crowd that Alan Fung is running with is on the other side on every single issue that matters to people. And I think as we get closer to Election Day and those differences become front of mind for voters, we'll be successful in this race.
Was that a misspeak, or did you purposely call him Crump? You said Donald Trump. Did I miss a new lingo or something? It was just a misspeak. So staying in the primary season here, the other candidates will say they have reasons why they would be a better player. In fact, if you dig into some of the details of the poll that contrasted the field with Alan Fung, although there's a wide disparity inside the primary race, there wasn't in terms of Alan Fung and the other folks. Well, so they have an argument to still make that they too can be competitive in this race.
I'd respectfully disagree. I'd say a couple of things. First, in that Boston Globe,
the data's the data.
Well, right, but in that data, in that Boston Globe poll, we were the closest of all the Democratic candidates. We were the only ones that were within striking distance. Second of all, I'm the only one in the Democratic field who has ever won an election anywhere in District 2 before. I won the district in both of my races for state treasurer, last time with more than 60% of the vote. I know the district well. More importantly than any of that, though, I've spent the last 8 years as state treasurer working in cities and towns all across the district with people to solve problems. I worked in Burrillville with the nurses and the families up there to fight to keep Zambrano opened. I worked in West Warwick to help fix that community's pension plan, in Westerly to get them funding to protect against sea level rise. The point being, when it comes to being an advocate in Washington for the 2nd Congressional District, I have more experience than anyone in the race at working on local issues in every community across the district, and that'll help us be successful.
Let's talk about the Supreme Court situation. I mean, you've been responsive to me on my questions about this. I mean, I can show you a headline. Everybody knows what happened when the Supreme Court reversed the protections of Roe v. Wade. Since now, we're what, 4 or 6 weeks past that really jolt to, I think, a lot of folks' systems. Are folks talking to you about this unsolicitedly when you're out there on
all the time? There's been a noted change in the discussion since that tragic Supreme Court decision was handed down. Choice is on the ballot this year. People know that, and people know. Some
might say choice is the thing on the ballot.
And listen,
you agree?
I've been consistent on this. my entire time in public life, I've been consistent. I believe that this choice, this most difficult choice that a woman can make, should be her choice and not the choice of politicians in Washington. It should not be Kevin McCarthy's choice or Alan Funk's choice or anything like that.
The two women in the primary, Sarah Morgenthau and Joy Fox, would suggest that they're in a better position to make that case. You know, you and I can't help that we're men. But how do you respond to that?
You know, I think the thing that sets me apart is that when we passed the Reproductive Privacy Act here in Rhode Island 3 years ago, I was there on the front lines. I testified in favor of it. I advocated for it. I rallied for it. I marched for it. And more than anyone else in the race, in either party, I was there 3 years ago working to get that bill passed.
Alan Fung would suggest that, and has, as he's kind of mumbled through this particular difficult moment, that the codification that was done here in Rhode Island is sufficient.
False. And I'll tell you why. Very simple. Kevin McCarthy, Alan Fung's pick to be Speaker of the House. You know, one thing that he has not waffled on is saying that he's going to vote for Kevin McCarthy, has said that he's open to passing a national abortion ban that would override state-level protections like those that so many of us fought for here in Rhode Island. And even if that didn't happen, and we continue with this system where some states are banning abortion and others aren't, what does that mean for Rhode Islanders who travel to other states for college, for whatever else? What does that mean for people who travel to Rhode Island to get an abortion? Does that mean that the providers here would be? It's a mess. And so, and so, you know, for Alan or anyone else to pretend that this is a non-issue, nothing to see here, that's not what I'm hearing from people in this state.
I'm not sure he's saying that. I think what he's trying to say is there's a little bit of duck and cover going on when he says, look, Rhode Island's good. I don't have to, this doesn't have to be primary in the race. And then, we know this is a national conversation and a national referendum on the issue,
He says that, and then in the very next breath says that he is going to put the people in power in the United States Congress who want to pass a national abortion ban to override state-level protections here in Rhode Island. You can't have it both ways on this. And women in Rhode Island need to know that they're going to have somebody in Congress who is going to fight for their rights. Not sometimes, not when it's convenient, all the time.
All right, when we come back, a couple other notes. Stay with us. So you got to make ads. Here's the treasurers.
High inflation.
It can be hard just listening to the news.
Shooting at an elementary school.
As if politicians in Washington are dragging us backwards.
Voting to overturn Roe versus Wade.
I'm determined to help change things. I've spent my career fighting for Rhode Islanders, standing up to the Trump agenda and the NRA. In Congress, I'll fight to protect a woman's right to choose, lower prescription drug costs, and build an affordable, clean energy economy. I'm Seth Magaziner, and I approve this message because our kids deserve a brighter future.
If you would want to pick on you a little bit, would say, I'm Seth Magaziner, and this is not my house. You look, I think this whole where you live thing, everyone should know by now that you don't have to live in the district to run in the district on a federal level, unlike the state level. What was that? What were you doing picking that house for? Whose house is that?
Well, I mean, first of all, just newsflash here, usually when you see a political ad and, you know, there's a politician candidate standing outside a house, it's usually not theirs. But the point is this, when I...
You should put a print on this. Usually not our house.
It's not usually the case. But you know, but I think the question that people really want to know is this: who's going to best represent the district, right? And I spent the last 8 years serving the entire 2nd Congressional District, working from one end to the other. People solve problems.
I know what you're doing. But tell me, because look, I don't see this as the. I thought. First of all, the house on the east side that you still own, correct?
Yeah.
Is what, a mile?
Yeah.
How far?
Yeah. So listen, I made a commitment when I announced for Congress that I would move back to the district, which I have, and
you were smartly not. You didn't put a timeline on it right away. But why did you feel like you needed to go in and rent in Edgewood? Not this house, but another house.
No, because I made a commitment and I'm keeping it. But
if you lose, you go back to the east side.
But I will tell you this: no, look, we're committed to where we're living.
How long is the lease? How long is the lease?
Listen. I do not hear from a single
Answer my question,
this.
Please. How long is the lease in Edgewood? Is it a long-time lease?
No, we're not going to get into that. I mean, it is a longer-term lease, yes. But the point of the matter is this. when I'm out talking to voters, this never comes up. It's only when I'm talking to people sort of in the political class that it's a topic.
So what?
And,
but
I made a commitment, so I'm
say,
keeping it.
I get that. I get that. One would say it was somewhat gratuitous to do that. That you didn't really have to do that. That of course you would have moved in if you won the race.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, people can say what they'll say, but. This is not something that I hear about from voters when I'm out talking to people. People want to know, what are we going to do to lower their drug prices? What are we going to do to protect choice? What are we going to do
well,
to
you made
protect
Alan
Social Security?
happy that you moved into Cranston. He thought that was was something that he could clumsily celebrate. So there's that.
No, I mean, listen, obviously Cranston is a wonderful community because of the people who live there. That is why it is such a shame that they have to put up with tax increases, persistent deficits, a closed swimming pool, and the legacy of mismanagement that he's left behind.
You are well practiced. There's no doubt about that. So we only have a minute or so left. How long ago does your announcement for the governorship feel?
I look forward. I don't look back. And what I'm focused on now is making sure that we have representation in Congress that reflects Rhode Island's values.
How long did it take you to get your feet underneath you after you jumped into this race? Because as I said back then, about you and to you, you looked like you had been held hostage to get into this race.
No, not at all. Listen, I made this decision because I'm concerned about the future of our country. And when I saw this seat open up, and I saw that there was a possibility that the Republicans might take control, I said I have to do something, because that's not the world that I want my kid to grow up in.
You're going to suggest to me that no party negotiations or politics had anything to do with you getting into this race?
No, it was my decision.
Well, I know that.
Yeah.
I mean, no one puts a gun to your head and says you must run.
Yeah. No, it was my decision, and it was because I care about the future of the country, and I'm worried about what could happen if the far right takes over in Washington again.
All right. Give me 10 seconds on why the primary vote ought to go your way.
Because we're working hard to earn every vote, and we're talking about the issues that matter to people. Lower drug costs, lower gas prices, protecting Social Security, protecting choice. These are the values that Rhode Islanders want in their next member of Congress, and that's what we're going to deliver.
All right. Good luck. Good to see you. And watch the bank. You still got a job. You know?
That's right. That's good.
Do your job. Final word when we come back. Stay with us. I'll tell you, nobody in this race has his script down better than the state treasurer, Seth Magaziner. Whether that becomes a liability for him, maybe not this time around in the primary, September 13th is the vote, but in the general, we shall see. That will be the political Donnybrook of the general election, no doubt about it. More coverage next week of the CD2, and don't forget, September 13th is primary day. We'll see you on the radio weekdays 3 to 6 on WPRI. I'm back here next week. Thanks.